Okay, so if we've taken the cover that we embroidered last class, so I've got this one, Read These Jeans, embroidered with a chain stitch and a little bit of a straight stitch here, making a little arrow. This is going to be the front of my book. Last week we talked about how to sew the fore patch inside this after you finish the embroidery. So this is sewn inside out. And I've clipped the corners, which I think I already showed before in my PowerPoint. And then we turn it inside out like this, and we try to pop out those corners as much as possible. Sometimes people will use a tool, and I will even use a pencil. So I'll use the eraser end of my pencil to pop in that corner just so it gets pushed as far to the edge of the corner of the seam as it can. So same here. Just like taking off a sock. Sometimes you take off a sock and it rolls all up into a little ball and you got to work it out and find the toe of your sock again. So I want to make sure that it's popped out as much as it can be there. And then if you've got an iron, I would press it. I've already pressed this and I've done it a couple times, so I'm not too worried about that. But the next step is to top stitch it or quilt it. So I'm going to have my embroidery needle with I've got some blue embroidery thread here. I'm going to tie my quilter's knot, and I'm going to do that again because I know you like it. So I put my thread behind my needle and I wrap it around twice, which is something that if you know how to make it with French knot, it's the same thing you would do for that. And then I pinch it onto my needle and pull the needle and all the thread through that doubled over knot so that I can position my knot right where I want it at the end of the thread. Then I'm going to go inside the 2 layers of my cover and I'm going to anchor my thread. The knot's going to stop it from coming all the way through. And then I'm going to take one back stitch before I start straight stitching all the way around these edges. This will keep the covers of your book rectangular and flat. It'll actually help it flatten at that seam. All right, so your job is to sew all the way around these edges with what is called a top stitch using a straight running stitch before we make our middle pages and bind the book.